This situation began years ago. When we made a deal with our kids, we would provide them with money for school so they could avoid loans with interest. My middle child, Becky, who is now 32, dropped out during her third semester of college. After bouncing around for a while, she returned at 23, asking for money to go back to school. Given her history of bad decisions, we were uncertain, so we agreed to loan her the money, stipulating that she would pay us back without interest. We documented this agreement, and she signed it. Fortunately, Becky did well and earned her degree. She's now earning a reasonable income. Over the years, we've repeatedly asked her to repay us, but she's consistently deferred. Initially, we considered deducting the amount from her inheritance, but circumstances changed. My husband's health is deteriorating, and we're facing mounting medical bills. We've had numerous discussions with Becky, pleading for her help and repayment of the roughly $100,000 loan. Even a monthly payment of $1,000 would alleviate some of our financial strain. During our last conversation, Becky refused to repay, citing her need to save for a house she had just bought. At this point, I consulted a lawyer and found that we have a strong case for suing her. I'm torn about taking legal action against my child, but the relationship, in my eyes, is already irreparably damaged due to her deceit and lack of support. To clarify, we financed everyone's initial college education. Becky agreed to the loan when she opted to return to school, and we didn't want to risk another $50,000 on a potential second dropout. Her credits were non-transferable due to poor grades, and the repayment timeline was supposed to start 3 years ago. The lawyer believes we have a strong case, especially since she didn't start payments as agreed and her house purchase indicates financial capacity. I understand she's my child, but she's also an adult. Her father is ill, and her refusal to assist us financially is heart-wrenching. Yes, suing her might be costly and will certainly end our relationship, but considering she has not repaid the $100,000 loan and hasn't offered any support while her father is ill, it seems the relationship is already non-existent from her perspective. She took a loan, signed the agreement for an interest-free repayment, and then chose not to honor it. It appears she assumed we wouldn't pursue legal action, but given the circumstances, I'm left with little choice. In this situation, your daughter owes you a significant sum of money, $100,000. It's important to recognize that a bank would not be lenient under similar circumstances. Do you have a legal case? Absolutely. However, pursuing this case could irreparably damage your relationship with your daughter. If you're prepared to burn that bridge forever, then you can proceed, but be aware of the consequences. You might feel justified in suing your daughter, but it's important to consider that she likely doesn't have $100,000 in cash to immediately repay you. This legal action could significantly harm her financial future. If you go through with the lawsuit, you must be realistic about the outcome. It's also worth considering the impact on future family relationships. If she ever has children, your decision might mean you'll never see your grandchildren. It's clear that both parties are at fault here. Your daughter is responsible for not repaying the loan, especially knowing the agreement from the outset. On the other hand, pursuing legal action against your own child, particularly to this extent, can be seen as extreme. Moreover, your daughter might propose a settlement once she learns about the potential lawsuit. In such a case, it's crucial to remain firm in your decision, especially considering that she hasn't made any effort to repay the loan so far. Your actions are not driven by malice, but by necessity due to your financial situation. Your daughter disregarded the family's needs when she decided not to start repaying the loan, despite having the ability to do so. In a separate context, regarding the situation with your boyfriend, you wanted to wear red flannel pajama pants and a black hoodie to a shopping center, thinking it would be charming for the holidays. However, your boyfriend disagreed, stating that wearing pajamas in public shows a lack of self-respect and would be disrespectful to him. You respected his perspective and chose to wear gray sweatpants instead. This disagreement over attire seems to have contributed to a broader conversation about respect and personal choices in your relationship. I couldn't believe we were still talking about the pajamas, so I was completely stunned and asked, "Are we seriously still talking about the outfit I wanted to wear?" Then he tells me it's not just that outfit. Many of my clothes are baggy and too big for me. He says I look dwarfed by my clothes when they don't fit my form. A lot of my casual clothes are t-shirts that are too big for me. They're medium and I'm extra small or small. Even the ones in my size look big because I'm a petite girl and I pair them with some color sweatpants. I never thought anything bad about my baggy clothes until this conversation. He says he knows I have better, really cute, and well-fitting outfits, so it comes off as lazy and like I don't care about my appearance when I leave in bigger clothes. Some quotes from him last night were, "I want to show you off and be proud to be next to you. But it's hard when you don't put any effort into your appearance, and I want you to look good, if not for yourself, then for me." I understand why he didn't want me to wear PJs in public, and I respect it. But he also just called out like 50% of my wardrobe. When I don't wear those clothes, I wear a skirt, jeans, joggers, and some slacks, but 75% of my regular shirts don't hug my body. I love this man and want him to feel comfortable being seen with me, but this hurts my feelings, mostly because I didn't know he felt this way about my casual wear. Am I just being insensitive or lazy? Am I the idiot? I want to show you off. Boom. You're his trophy. Do your job, woman, not the idiot. He's literally objectifying you, as in he looks at you as an object to be displayed and bragged about instead of a person with her own sense of comfort, style, or expression. Gross. Dump him. Everyone's the idiot here. You wearing PJs in public when you're older than 8 is tacky. Have some self-respect. But regarding his comments on your general clothes, I can see why he might be frustrated if he typically puts in more effort to dress nicely himself. But then, he should just find someone more compatible with him, not try to control what you wear. He's suggesting that you embarrass him. And I wouldn't say I like that. He should love you and stand by your side, regardless of what you're wearing. Now, have some self-respect. Wearing PJs can be very comfy. Why should you have a go at someone for wearing what they want? It sounds so stupid. Also, wearing holiday flannels during the holiday season is pretty common. It's not like she was wearing tattered and old clothes. My wife told me the same thing once. For work, I put on a smart suit and a snazzy tie, contact lenses, and clean. I put on clean shoes and look good for work, but then I would go out with my wife in dirty trainers, scratched glasses, and a baggy t-shirt. It made her feel like she wasn't a priority in my life and wasn't worth my effort. We should dress for ourselves above all, but I don't think we should exclude trying to look good for our partners. My husband, who is 38, and I, a 40-year-old female, have been married for 8 years and have a preschooler son. 3 weeks ago, my husband's father unexpectedly passed away. It was shocking for the entire family, and we were all grieving. He passed away the week before Thanksgiving, so the funeral was scheduled for the coming Friday. As the oldest of 3 brothers, my husband has taken on a lot of responsibility in planning the funeral, getting his dad's estate in order, and helping his mom with pretty much everything she needs. His younger brothers help when and where they can, but they don't take initiative like my husband. This has made him very stressed lately. I've done my best to be patient and understanding, but he always seems so angry. It doesn't help that our relationship hasn't been the best for the past 6 months. We started couples therapy about 2 months ago, but our therapist has been on paternity leave for the past month, so we haven't been able to meet with him. One of the ways my husband likes to relieve stress is through intimacy, but one of the biggest reasons we started couples therapy is because our bedroom life has been non-existent. We've maybe been intimate 5 or 6 times this year. Due to some childhood trauma, not sexual assault, intimacy and showing physical affection can be difficult for me. I've always struggled with it, and my husband has been understanding. but I know it's frustrating for him. The other day, everything came to a head. He was clearly very stressed, short, and snappy with me and our son. He ended up retreating to the basement. When I went down to talk to him, things got even worse. I tried to console him and figure out what was bothering him, but he just said he was sad and angry. When I asked if anything would cheer him up, he said yes, intimacy. I told him that I don't have an interest in that right now because I'm exhausted and have been having headaches pretty much all the time from stress. He said he just wanted to feel something other than hurt and pain. I told him that he was going to have to find a different release for that. He then said the meanest thing he's ever said to me. He said, "Then if you're not going to leave me alone, you always have an excuse, and I'm tired of being rejected all the time. If we're not going to have intimacy, what the heck are we even doing?" I told him. I responded, "That was very mean, and I understand you're grieving, but we're all hurting right now, and your wants and needs aren't more important than anyone else's." I told him I knew he didn't mean that, but I would give him some space. However, he said he absolutely meant it. He expressed that his dad's death made him realize life is too short to stay in a situation that doesn't work for him. And this clearly isn't working. I suggested we should wait and talk with our couples therapist about this, but he dismissed the idea, saying, "What's the point? Nothing's going to change. I'm sick of sugarcoating this, so I don't hurt your feelings." That night, I cried myself to sleep, and since then, he's barely spoken to me, giving only one-word answers. When I tried to talk to him about his feelings, he says he's fine and just wants to get through the funeral on Friday and relax this weekend. I was talking to a friend about this because I needed to vent. She suggested that he's probably just grieving and doesn't mean the things he said, but I'm worried that he's revealing his true feelings about our marriage. I know he's grieving, but he's been such a jerk and so mean all the time now. No, you should start coming to terms with the fact that your marriage might be over. You're not required to have intimacy with someone if you don't want to, but he's also not required to submit himself to a lifetime of rejection. I don't think you understand what it does to someone to be constantly rejected. It can really impact them. And I think your husband is just now fully recognizing this. Marriage counseling might not really help here, from the sound of it. You are not the idiot specifically for not wanting intimacy when you didn't want to, but you might be overlooking other aspects. You're not the idiot for having issues and struggles, but expecting him to go to couples counseling so he can understand why you won't be intimate with him, instead of you attending counseling for yourself to overcome the issues that prevent a healthy, intimate life, might be misguided. It's likely a lot of your problems as a couple stem from what is called a dead bedroom. I get the impression that you're not in therapy for yourself to work through your issues, but expect him to go to couples therapy to come to terms with you not dealing with your issues. You ask your husband what the problem is. He gave you an answer. You said you wouldn't do it. He's telling you how to fix it, and you don't want to do it. While he may be grieving his behavior, he is being honest with you. You now know what your soon-to-be ex's breaking point is. Congrats. I, a 31-year-old male, have a sister, Emily, who is 28. She was recently homeless due to various reasons. She asked me for help, and I was only too glad to assist. I told her she could live in my house rent-free and stay there as long as she wanted. I even mentioned that I have no problem if she lives there permanently, etc. My wife was fine with it as well, as she likes Emily. However, Emily likes to walk around in revealing clothes. Sometimes she doesn't wear a bra, and at other times she has no top at all. I had no problem with her staying, but I don't like people who act like this, especially in my house. I never ask her not to wear such stuff if she's staying elsewhere. So I politely asked her not to do that, especially since my tween son is there as well. She got mad and accused me of controlling her, being a misogynist, and said that it's none of my business what she wears, etc. I responded, "It is my business when you live in my house. If you want to do that, go ahead, but you cannot do it here. My morals do not allow that. You're not even paying anything. I told you that you can live here forever, and the least you can do to repay me is to wear decent clothes. She got mad and began to yell at me, using abusive language, etc. I didn't back down and asked her to get out, as she thought it was problematic. She said, "Why should I leave when I can live here without paying money? Screw that, I'm not going to leave, and I don't want to search for another house either." So she's still here, but I'm wondering whether it was an overreach on my part, considering what I told her. Am I the idiot? Your sister is treating you like a doormat. You opened your home rent-free, told this 28-year-old woman that she could stay forever, and she's now making it very clear she's going to do whatever she wants while she's there, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's time to make it very clear that this won't fly in your house. The fact that you're having any doubt at all about this is sad and troubling. You're 100% in the right, and any doubt you have should be removed immediately. Make it clear she isn't going to freeload and think she can make the rules. Threaten to kick her out and mean it. Don't hesitate to follow through if she calls your bluff. To me, this was more troublesome than what she wears. She basically states that she doesn't intend to leave because she's not paying rent. If I were you, I'd worry less about what she's wearing and more about. You need to consider how to get her out of your home. You have a young child in the house, and you're responsible for exposing that child to mature situations, not your sister. The no-bruh thing is not something your child should be exposed to until you and your spouse deem it appropriate. Dude, at this point, it's up to you to decide whether you want her behavior to change, in which case you have to create consequences for her behavior, or if you're going to let your son live with this woman for the rest of his childhood. The choice is yours. OP. 6 months from now, if your son no longer listens to or respects you, you might wonder where he could have learned this behavior. I believe it's time to evict your sister now. She's displayed contempt for you and your son. I can't imagine your wife is happy with your sister's behavior either. It's miserable to live with someone who has no respect for you. You need to consider how to get her out of your home. You have a young child in the house, and you're responsible for exposing that child to mature situations, not your sister. The no-bruh thing is not something your child should be exposed to until you and your spouse deem it appropriate. Dude, at this point, it's up to you to decide whether you want her behavior to change, in which case you have to create consequences for her behavior, or if you're going to let your son live with this woman for the rest of his childhood. The choice is yours. Okay. 6 months from now, if your son no longer listens to or respects you, you might wonder where he could have learned this behavior. I believe it's time to evict your sister now. She's displayed contempt for you and your son. I can't imagine your wife is happy with your sister's behavior either. It's miserable to live with someone who has no respect for you.